Hi, I'm Jack Hyman and welcome to Vlog 1, Skills versus Capacities. So what is a skill? It's a global representation available to an athlete. It's the capability of the neuromuscular system which will enable us to utilise our capacities to perform and complete a task in the most efficient way possible. What is a capacity then? It's the internal physics of the body, the structures and general functions that moderate the system response, and general limits to function. For example, body mass, tendon qualities, and cross-sectional area of the muscle, just to name a few. So let's have a look at skills first. Neve is just performing a bodyweight squat at the moment. As you can see, both her heels are shifting slightly on the descent phase of the squat. This is more obvious on her left-hand side. Now Neve is performing a loaded back squat. As you can see, her heels still shift even with the extra load. And this is still more obvious on her left-hand side. Watching Neve from this angle, we can have a closer look at her knees. Now, there is a slight amount of movement in her knees, but they do track over the toes, and there's no severe valgus there. When watching Neve squat from this angle, the heel shift in the descent phase of the squat presents as more pronounced. This then leads to the weight ending up more in the forefoot rather than the heels, and meaning that the bar is then over the toes at the bottom of the squat, which is suboptimal. For Neve, this is a skill issue. She isn't activating her glutes enough during the squat. I've got her to wear a glute band around the top of her knees, forcing her to activate her glutes. As you can see here that this is still effective when using a loaded squat as well as a bodyweight squat. Now that Neve is activating her glutes more throughout the squat, her heels are more stable upon the ground and her weight is pressing more through her heels than before. As demonstrated in the two images, when squatting without the glute band and therefore with less glute activation, the weight in Neve's back squat is carried much further forwards than when she is utilising more of her posterior chain. I am now going to examine a skill issue Neve has in her hang power clean. Neve achieves good extension from her ankles and her knees, but not from her hips. This is not caused by the load used, as even when jumping without a bar, Neve doesn't achieve great extension from her hips and has a fairly straight body line. Before coaching Neve to extend through her hips, I performed a Thomas test to ensure Neve didn't have tight hips and to rule out this as a capacity issue. As indicated by the images, Neve has sound flexibility through her hips. Therefore, a coaching cue was used for Neve to squeeze her glutes and extend through her hips as much as possible. To help Neve accomplish this, I got her to perform a high pull. Removing the catch from the movement allows her to concentrate on the task of extending her hips more. Neve is achieving better extension through her hips, meaning that she is demonstrating triple extension, which is essential for a hang power clean. When putting the whole lift together, Neve is still achieving triple extension. By using coaching cues, Neve has successfully improved the skill of triple extension and therefore her hang power clean. Matt has a different skill issue with the hang power clean. He struggles with the catch. This is a skill issue as Matt has plenty of mobility through his wrists, forearms, triceps and lats to achieve a successful catch position. Watching Matt perform a hang power clean, he is able to extend through his ankles, knees and hips so can move the bar, but is struggling with the catch and ends up performing more of a reverse bicep curl at the end of the movement. By tracking the path of the bar, you can see that it isn't the correct shape, and this is due to Matt not dropping under the bar to catch but placing the bar across the front of his shoulders using that reverse bicep curl type movement. As shown by all these bar path traces, the bar goes straight up and is then placed upon the shoulders rather than Matt dropping underneath to catch the bar. This is what research would suggest the bar path of the power clean should look like. Obviously, as we are looking at a derivative in the hang power clean, the bottom of the path will look different. However, the catching phase should look similar. To develop the skill of catching the bar, Matt performed multiple repetitions of the scarecrow clean, an exercise where the athlete performs an upright row and then drops into the catch position. This exercise helped Matt feel comfortable dropping and rotating under the bar into that catch position that we're looking for in the clean. Yes, very good. After Matt had developed the skill of the catch through the scarecrow clean, the hang power clean started to look a lot better, and you can also see an improvement in the bar path trace. Looking at the traces side by side, there is a definite improvement in the skill, as the catching phase now looks a lot more similar than before. Now we're going to look at some capacity issues. Matt is performing a bodyweight squat. As you can see, he can't hit depth and stops before he even reaches parallel. This doesn't improve when Matt is performing a loaded back squat. He still doesn't reach sufficient depth, even though he is carrying extra load. After identifying that Matt couldn't hit depth, I got him to perform an active straight leg raise. As shown in the images, Matt's hamstring flexibility is poor and is likely to be a contributing factor as to why he can't reach sufficient depth when performing a loaded back squat. Firstly, Vicky is just performing a bodyweight squat. As you can see, she does reach below parallel. However, she does present with a forward lean. As Vicky can perform this movement sequence with a good level of skill, she can progress to squatting with a load. When performing a loaded squat, Vicky's forward lean becomes even more pronounced. She doesn't get much forward displacement at the knees and her shins remain almost vertical. This image is a good representation of both the amount of forward lean and the lack of knee displacement in Vicky's squat. Getting Vicky to perform a pole squat shows that she is able to keep her torso upright when squatting, though she is using the pole as a counterbalance. Even though Vicky is much more upright, her shins are still almost completely vertical. As Vicky isn't getting much forward displacement of her knees in the squat, I decided to test her dorsiflexion by performing a knee to wall test. As you can see, Vicky has poor dorsiflexion. This capacity issue is likely to be contributing to her back squat issues. Raising Vicky's heels by wearing lifting shoes had very little effect and is only a temporary fix. To improve her squat, she needs to increase her lower leg flexibility, especially tibialis anterior, EHL and EDL. Repeated regular stretching and rolling of the lower leg should improve these issues. Next, I'm going to be taking a look at Vicky's hang power clean. While watching Vicky perform a hang power clean, it actually becomes evident that she doesn't achieve triple extension, and the bar displacement is caused by her upper body and an arch at her mid-back. This compensatory movement pattern has probably been adopted due to the fact that she cannot extend through her hips and therefore cannot create the displacement from triple extension. To confirm that this is actually a capacity issue of tight hip flexors, further tests will need to be performed. As you can see from Vicky just lying on the box, her lower back was arched, which could create the illusion of flexibility through her hips. When performing a Thomas test, it is important for the athlete to have their back firmly pressed flat into the box. As you can see, when she has a flat back and she raises her knee to her chest, the other leg raises off the box, which suggests tight hips. Things like band-assisted stretching, proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, foam rolling and mobility exercises are all good for aiding in the development of the flexibility and increased range of motion around a joint. Okay, time to summarise what we've looked at. So in the back squat, Neve lacked glute activation, which led to her heels raising in the descent phase of the squat. The resolution for this was that we got a glute band to force Neve to activate her glutes during the squat. In Neve's hang power clean, she didn't achieve triple extension. Now this wasn't due to a lack of flexibility, but more that the coaching she had had before had got her to jump straight in the air, where we needed her to extend through her hips at the top of the jump. So Matt had a skill issue with his hang power clean. He lacked confidence when catching the bar. He wasn't dropping and rotating underneath it. This is a skill issue, as Matt does have the flexibility and range of motion around the upper body to allow the needed rotation. Breaking down the lift into one of its derivatives gave Matt the chance to practice the skill on its own and made it easier when putting the full lift back together. In his back squat, Matt had a capacity issue. He couldn't reach sufficient depth due to tight hamstrings. Vicky had capacity issues in both her back squat and her hang power clean. In the back squat, she lacked dorsiflexion, which didn't allow for forward displacement of the knees and caused quite a severe forward trunk lean. In her hang power clean, Vicky wasn't achieving triple extension due to tight hip flexors, and this caused her to adopt a compensatory movement pattern.